Welcome to the Week 8 edition of Down the Sideline. I think it was a pretty good success, the first edition of it. So we're right here at the midpoint. We're going to continue this on till the end of the season because I had a lot of fun. I know I got Chef and Opie. They're with me. I know they had a lot of fun. There was a lot of good comments and stuff on there, and I think everybody enjoyed listening to it, as much as we had fun talking about all these games. This week's poll is going to be Oklahoma State at number 12 TCU. So if you go there, you can vote for that and see who you think is going to win. So we're going to get right to talking about our picks last week.
I think we did 16 games overall, which a crap ton of games, man. Y'all don't realize how much time. It was like an hour and a half worth of recording, and we cut it down a long ways to make it work. And yeah, 16 games was a little too much.
Yeah, we cut that down to about 5 games this time because I think me and Chef, what was it, Thursday?
Yeah.
Or Wednesday night, whatever it was. I can't remember now. I mean, shoot, we were up until 4 in the morning. We both had to get up and go to work the next day. So I think overall, Opie got the most right. And then it was me and Chef with one behind it, right?
Right. Yeah, I missed the Stanford and Washington State game, which was disappointing end on my part, and then you got the TCU Baylor game.
I got that one right, but they forgot how to play defense in the fourth quarter. I got that one absolutely right. Just saying.
Scoreboard.
We see Opie got bonus points. He took OU, but he says, I'm taking OU, but not the points, so he gets a bonus for that. Chef doesn't get any bonus. He just doesn't get any. He needs to do some more research, watch some more games.
Yeah, I need to stop working so much and pay attention to college football.
And I got a bonus point for the Oregon UCLA game with saying that Hundley's going to throw more interceptions.
Yeah, I figured there'd be more sacks than 2 all game, let alone only 2 by Oregon on UCLA. That was kind of a shocker compared to both of their offensive lines. Just disappointing.
Right, which is a good segue in the next deal. We're going to talk about kind of what our thoughts on the games last season. I'll let Opie take over this one.
Well, I'm going to start off with a high point from last week, and my high point's going to start with the Baylor game. This was their first real test this season, and they scored the last 24 points. I'm sure if you watched it, you already know that. In regulation, well, this game didn't go to overtime, but it was a huge win for the Bears. TCU played hard. But I think this showed the rest of the country that if you're going to play Baylor, that you have to play the entire game and that no lead is safe because they can score points in a hurry. Then I have a low point, and my low point is going to be the Alabama game. They only won 14-13. They did slip away at that win, but they had that block extra point, and I can't remember for sure, but I think there was 2 turnovers by Arkansas inside the 10. And by the way, Nick, I don't care that your team only won by 1 point. My problem is that you only scored 14 points. Win a game 31-30, and you'll stay off my rip next week.
Got him.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in that game too. I knew that Arkansas, is a pretty good team, but I still figured Alabama was going to score more than 14 points, and that game was close like all the way through.
I think that Arkansas was up at the start of the fourth quarter, 13-7.
Yep, they were up 13-7 start the fourth quarter. Granted, it only took them 3 minutes to score in the fourth quarter, but I mean Alabama just didn't let Arkansas score after that.
Chef, what you got?
My actually my I guess my high and low point was the USC Arizona game, and I would have guaranteed Arizona was going to win that game, but I know the Cinderella story for the Arizona kicker, but stop playing water boy, Arizona, and get an actual kicker on your team that's a legitimate kicker, not that used to be the manager for the women's soccer team, because he missed 3 field goals in that game. He's missed 5 all season, but those 3 field goals cost him that game, potentially the Pac-12 championship game.
I bet there's some hot soccer players over there too.
Yeah, Arizona's got some lookers. I lived there for a while.
Yeah, USC, they haven't impressed me either. What I want to talk about from last week is the Mississippi State-Auburn game. Now I know, I'm going to call him out, Logan Maddox. He made a great comment on last week's video. I like that. He put some good stuff in there, and I appreciate that. A lot of good stuff in there. There were some calls that were a little bit iffy, but the one pass interference, I don't know if there was a couple of them or not the one where he ran out of bounds with the other one. Man, that defender was running right with him, and he extended that arm, and then there was a bit of a gap there. So I don't know. It's a little iffy on that one. But I looked at some stats, and one of the things I want to talk about is, let me see, Nick Marshall on passing was 17 for 35 that game. Okay? The running back, Cameron Artis-Payne, he was 16 for 70. Now, what's interesting about that is that's a loss to Mississippi State. Well, back in September when they played Kansas State, it was almost the same. Okay? And that was 20-14. They beat Kansas State at Kansas State. And Nick Marshall was 17 for 31 in the Kansas State game, and Artis-Payne was 22 for 63. Now, I may have a little graphic up on the screen so you can see it, but those were two away games. In all the other games, they had over 100 yards rushing, and really Nick Marsh didn't pass the ball. He didn't try to pass the ball more than 22 times in all the other games. So, and almost lost to Kansas State and a loss to Mississippi State. So maybe their offense isn't as potent, isn't as dominant as we've seen last year. You know, I didn't get to watch a whole bunch of that game from what I did see. There was a lot of passes, downfield, like, more than 10, 15 yards downfield every time. I'm thinking, where's Auburn? Where's this running game at? I kind of seen that. I know Mississippi State's really stout up front. I don't know that much about Kansas State, but I'd be willing to bet that Kansas State's pretty stout up front too, because those stats almost look alike. In all the other games they played, they blew people out. They played Arkansas, San Jose State, Louisiana Tech, and LSU. So that's just something about that game that just kind of stood out when I went to kind of looking at that stuff.
Well, the Kansas State game, I noticed. What's the running back's name again?
Artis-Payne.
Yeah, Payne. He got the 22 carries in that one, so maybe he just wasn't as effective in that game. But Mississippi State, that's the only game this year besides San Jose, which was a blowout, that he hasn't had over 20 carries. So you'd think on the road that you're going to run the ball a little more, but they're airing it out on the road in both of the road games this year.
Or maybe they're just struggling overall on the road.
Right.
Because both of those were – I'd like to look at the schedule and see what other road games they have. I think, matter of fact, they might be on the road at Ole Miss. If they're going to be on the road at Ole Miss, they might have some problems.
Yeah, on the road at Ole Miss, at Georgia, and at Alabama.
Yeah, so Auburn's going to have a heck of a time. Now, it's still early in the season. It's only, 7-8 games or whatever. So, I'm sure they'll turn it around. Gus Malzahn's a genius when it comes to running offenses and stuff, so I'm sure they'll turn that around. But I just thought that was something interesting about those two games. All right, moving on to this week's games. First one on the list, we'll go ahead and do it. Baylor at West Virginia, or number 4 Baylor at West Virginia. Baylor's favored by, I think it was 7.5 or 8 this game. Last I've seen it. I mean, Vegas stuff's liable to change. Oh, I know you like Baylor. Take it away, dog.
All right, man. Let me see if I can start it off this way. Akon had a song several years ago called "Blown Away," where at the end of that song he does this little rap. He says, "If you see me out there with a bear and we fighting, then go help the bear." He was not talking about this football game. West Virginia better hope that Mark Bolger walks through that door, because they don't have a chance to win this one. I'll take the point. I'll give them the points, and I'm taking Baylor. A side note is the last time Baylor went to West Virginia, which was 2 years ago, the Mountaineers won that game 70-63, and that's the highest scoring game of, I believe it said, of all time. So I know there's going to be lots of points scored this weekend in that West Virginia-Baylor game.
All right, let me ask you a question here. And one of the deals I told them, basically the only rule that I have is no matter who your favorite team is, try to be unbiased. Because there's people that are watching out there, and I don't want, or not watching, they're listening, I guess, and watching whatever's in the background. But I want everybody to be unbiased. And I know that Oak kind of favors Baylor a little bit, and that's cool because everybody's got teams they kind of like a little bit. Chef said stuff about Texas, but he ain't got nothing to say about that right now.
Not right now. I got something to say about it, but not right now.
Let me ask you something. Opie, what's Baylor known for?
Offense.
Okay? Which side, running or passing?
Actually, this year they've been running the ball a lot better than they have in the past.
They have. Linwood's good. But when people think of Baylor, what do they think?
They think of passing.
Bryce Petty airing it out. Do you know what Baylor's ranked in the passing game?
It's not good, but that's because they ran the ball so well. And Petty missed one game this year already.
No, I mean they're ranked up in the country. They're like 6th.
Oh, really?
They're 6th in the country. You know what West Virginia is passing?
1?
7th.
7th?
By about 5 yards.
Yeah, I told you this is going to be a high-scoring game this week.
West Virginia's a good team, and I'm not a West Virginia fan. I'm just saying. Chef?
I hadn't really heard much about West Virginia all season. I mean, they barely edged out Texas Tech, but I mean that's a air raid against air raid. But I mean they've held some close games against some high caliber competition, and then had some close games against some not so high caliber competition. But I don't think they win this game against Baylor. I mean Baylor, if everything's clicking, and especially the way they ended that TCU game, like we said before, teams are going to be riding that, and they're not going to let that happen again against the West Virginia team. I think Baylor's going to win it.
But they gave up 60 points.
That was last week.
Where's the defense?
That was last week, though. Then TCU is a nationally ranked team. I mean, TCU's not bad. Yeah, but West Virginia.
So was Baylor. So was Baylor.
So would you rather see the 14-13 Alabama-Arkansas score, or would you rather see the whatever that final score in the Baylor game was, 57?
61-58.
61-58?
Now, it was exciting, but it wasn't because they were leading by 27 going into the fourth quarter, I think.
24.
24.
No, at 21. I'm sorry.
21. 27, 24, 21.
They scored 24 points in the last 11 minutes. Baylor did.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know why TCU didn't run a slant route on that last play. I'm just saying. And he tried to throw that one fade thing down the line. I'm not going to sit here and claim I'm a professional coach or I'm a awesome play caller or whatever, but if it was me, I think that I would have ran something different.
Well, despite the hot Baylor offense, would you have really gone for it on that 4th and 5 or punted that ball and made them go the distance?
I would have probably punted it, but in that situation, I can't believe they threw that fade route. I would have picked something different there. I would have picked a slant route over the middle, some kind of quick, because if I remember it right, we were all at a softball tournament. We were catching bits and pieces from different games on all the TVs. I'm pretty sure man coverage across the board, if I remember right. Everybody was up and they were pressing because it was like a fourth and 2.
4th and 5 on the 40, I think, around the 40. That's the question I have: is why go for it there? I mean, despite Baylor's offense being so good in the fourth quarter, still you don't have faith that your defense can stop them from going 85 yards, not maybe 90 yards instead of 30 yards.
Well, I mean, TCU had already gone for it twice on 4th down. They got it. They were 50%, not too bad. But their defense had already had 3 turnovers. So they were confident in their defense to an extent. I mean, get the ball back potentially, and confident in their offense to get it. But I think it was one of those calls you either win the game or lose the game as a coach, and they obviously lost the game.
They also say a lot of times is that I've heard other announcers say this, that if you go for it on 4th down like that, when it's an obvious situation that in the first quarter you'd punt, it shows that you don't have any faith in your defense. So if you don't get it, then does that mean that defense is going back there in the back of their mind thinking, oh, coach didn't think we could do it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're saying that this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, I mean, they went for it. If they get the first down, they probably win the game. They didn't get it, so.
Oh, you said you had Baylor?
Baylor with the points.
I'm going to take Baylor with the points also. I want some bonus points this week.
I'm not.
You're taking West Virginia?
I'm going to take West Virginia on this one.
With the points or winning it?
Just winning it. I think if West Virginia wins, it's probably going to be a close game anyway. But West Virginia's already played some pretty good teams. I think the first really good team that Baylor's played was TCU, because the West Virginia's already played number 2 Alabama, which probably not all that great. And then Oklahoma, which, they're still a good team. Both of those are still good teams, even though they've kind of, had a bit of some stumbles, I guess you'd say. Because Baylor, I mean, they've played SMU, what is that, Northwestern State, Buffalo, Iowa State, Texas, and then TCU. So, and their schedule's only going to get harder from there with Kansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Tech, and Kansas State.
Definitely over 100 points in this game, don't you agree?
Probably. I didn't see the over and under, but it's probably around 75 or 80 points.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's gonna go over 100.
You gonna mark that down? Some more.
Yeah, put that on for some bonus points. Over 100 combined.
And you can't call game time anymore because we couldn't find that stat. But if you but if you didn't count the rain delay, or if you count the rain delay, you would have been off because it was rain delayed 70 minutes for that Georgia Tech Duke game. I totally wanted Duke too. I should have stuck with my gut on that one, but I was wrong.
All right, moving on. Number 15, Oklahoma State at number 12, TCU. TCU is favored by 9.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to this game. I mean, TCU just came off a big loss whenever they gave up those 24 points to Baylor to end the game. I mean, that's definitely heartbreaking. But Oklahoma State, I said last week they were going to destroy Kansas and win by a lot. They won by 7. Granted, Kansas was surprisingly a lot better than I figured they were, apparently, with after firing their coach. Maybe that's what it was. They just had to have a new coach. Because I think Weiss, who that was, Charlie Weiss.
Is that what it was? Don't get me lying. Everybody will nail me on the comments.
Well, he coached Notre Dame, and then he went to Kansas, and he got fired, and now he's still going to be like one of the top paid coaches.
Oh, that's right. He did get fired. 'Cause I remember him saying that. He's still getting paid. That's the job I want. Fire me, and then I still get paid like millions of dollars from like 2 different companies. That'd be great.
Yeah, maybe that's what they needed was that extra boost to keep it close against an Oklahoma State team that's pretty hot, especially after that really close game against Florida State.
Were they home or away on that game?
Which game? Kansas?
Yes.
They were at Kansas, and this week they're at TCU.
Are we going to talk about that Tyreek Hill kick return in that game?
Did he have another one? We didn't get to see it.
He did. That's what the game was actually. Let me see here. I got it wrote down somewhere. OK State was up by 13 points in the second half and blew the lead to where it was tied at 20, and then in the fourth quarter, he returned the kick to give them the 27-20 lead that they didn't give up.
He's a playmaker, and he's had like a couple of kick returns on the season this year. I mean, I think I linked the one last week in the Down the Sideline episode, which was he was flying, and having a playmaker like that is huge.
Returner of the year?
Very good possibility.
If he doesn't get hurt.
But I don't think the one man army of Tyreek Hill is going to be enough to keep Oklahoma State in this game to win it. I think it's going to be a close game, but I don't think Oklahoma State's going to win it.
Well, Oklahoma State's been throwing the ball around like Baylor does, with Dax Garman chunking the ball around. So maybe if they do that, then TCU's defense ain't going to be able to handle it like they were. And Oklahoma State's got a decent running game. It's not a super awesome. I mean, but they got some dudes that can run the ball. But maybe them airing it out. I think. Let me see. Chef said.
I'm taking TCU, and I'll probably take the spread too. I think TCU's gonna bounce back after that Baylor loss, and sadly enough, they're coming against Oklahoma State. He's had a really good season. I mean, look at the Big 12s this year. My gosh, they got 5 teams ranked in the top 15.
Well, I think some of that has come from all the other teams have been getting beat. Some of the higher up teams, and the Big 12 are just now getting to where they're playing each other, because they played some, I don't know, T-bone state that nobody cares about.
Well, that's how all of them are. I mean, even we looked at some of the SEC.
SEC is horrible about that. I hate that. They go play some people, man. Go play some people. Stop playing whatever schools that people ain't never heard of unless you go there. Lamar. Yeah, stop doing that, man. Go play some people. Don't be scared. Opie, we got
Lamar.
Yeah, stop doing.
I'm gonna take the points also and take TCU. I will say that I think we can all three agree that with both these teams blowing big second half leads last week, even though OK State won, I don't think a lead's gonna be safe in this game. But I think TCU's offense looked really good last week. I think they stay hot and they score a bunch of points again this week and they win this one.
This is a tough one for me, but I think TCU coming off that loss like that, maybe they're a little down because they blew that big lead and would have been way up there ranked. I'm going to take Oklahoma State on this one. I'm going to lose my butt this week.
If TCU plays that game last week against Baylor at home, I think they win that game. But being at home this week, I think they're going to win this.
Are you going to go all underdog this week?
Dude, one score is not much of an underdog on these games. I think it's home field. Like was it Ope said that, or was it you?
He said me.
I mean, Baylor West Virginia by 8. Well, Baylor's not. They're on the road, but still, 8 points on those teams. What is that?
That's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, Cotton.
All right, next game. Number 14, K-State at number 11, OU. Oklahoma's favored by 8 in this one. I guess I can start. I'll start this one off. K-State played decently against Auburn. But I think Waters and Lockett, they're going to put up a pretty good fight against Oklahoma. But I think I'm gonna take Trevor Knight and the Sooners on this one.
Even after that Texas game, you're still gonna give Oklahoma the benefit of the doubt.
At home. I mean, Kansas is good. Those Kansas State teams, they're always pretty sound, and they've always been, decently good. I'm pretty sure they've made a bowl game. The past 3 or 4 years, they've been the Sugar and the Rose and everything else. I mean, you don't have to look that up. I'm just kind of throwing it out there, but I don't know. I think I'm still going to take Oklahoma.
I'm also going to take Oklahoma in this one. I think they'll be much better coming back home, and I mean, they're coming off that loss, and then they played Texas last week in Dallas. I think coming back home, that student body's going to re-energize them, and they're going to get back on track.
Jeff, what you got, my man?
I'm actually going to take K-State. I mean, Oklahoma, after week 3, they've given up an average of 30 points a game, and they're just not doing it. I mean, once again, I keep saying this, Texas isn't a good team this year. There's no doubt about that. But they've fought hard against TCU team, and a 5-point game against the number 11 team in the nation. It's like seriously, I don't understand what the problem is against teams playing Texas and it being a close game. I don't get what the deal is. And I think this week K-State is gonna take advantage of it because their only loss has been to an Auburn team who was number 5 in the nation at the time by 6 points. By 6 points. Granted, they're not playing at home, but I think K-State's gonna win this game. I'm not as super excited as I was last week for that Washington State-Stanford blowout that I totally got wrong. but I think K-State has a chance to win this game.
Sounds good. We shall see.
By less than the points.
Less than the points.
I don't know how the point works.
All right, to keep this thing rolling, I'll mark that down. It's College Game Day. Is going to be there. Number 5, Notre Dame. At number 2, Florida State. Florida State favored by 12. Take it away, boys.
Well, let me ask you this first, Mike. If Notre Dame wins this game, do you take them for real now? Do you think they're serious?
Let me look at their schedule. We'll see. See what I think. My expert opinion. Got my man Chef over here. Let's see. Oh, they played Rice, an awful Michigan team, Purdue, Syracuse, and then they beat Stanford by a field goal. And then they played North Carolina. That's the hardest schedule I've ever read off. Do you think we can pick up maybe a few guys around town and beat a few of them teams?
But Florida State's number 2.
Florida State has had carryover from last year, just like Alabama's had.
I agree, but I mean, what does Notre Dame have to do for you to take them serious?
Play some teams. There's one ranked team on there, and it's Clemson. And they won by, what is that? I can't see it from here. Wait, I was looking at the wrong one, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was looking at the wrong one, sorry. They've played one ranked team, won by a field goal, on a Stanford team that's not the awesome Stanford of, the past couple of years. Because Stanford's probably going to have, by the time they get through the Pac-12, they're probably going to have 2 or 3 losses. By the time they get through USC and Oregon and, the 2 Arizona teams. So, no, I'm not going to take them seriously.
Even if they win?
Even if they win, because I don't think Florida State's that good. Besides the fact, we don't even know if Jameis Winston's going to make it because of all those autograph stuff. He might even be suspended for that game. It's Wednesday as we're recording this, so we don't know yet.
Well, the coach came out and said that he's buying Winston's story and that he's not going to be suspended.
What's he going to do? He's going to have Jameis Winston come in his office and go, "Nah, kid, I don't believe you. We're going to sit you down." Knowing that they need him to win that game.
They did sit him down earlier this year for yelling.
Well, on that, the coach didn't do anything. The president of Florida State said, "Hey, dog, we're sitting you for the entire game, not just the half that the coach originally said." So if the president of Florida State University decides that he needs to sit him, the coach isn't going to have a choice. Coach isn't going to have a choice. His employer is telling him what to do. Again.
We got Golson versus Winston this week, so Golson's quietly having, though, even though they haven't played anyone yet, he's quietly having a pretty good season. And Winston he's in the headlines every single week this year for something different that's not football related at all. I mean, his completion percentage is up, I saw, but he's nowhere near achieving the 40 touchdowns he threw last year. So
let me run this by you. So you guys picked TCU in the TCU Oklahoma State game.
right.
So you pick TCU to beat Oklahoma State, TCU gave up 60 points or whatever it was, close to 60, but then Florida barely beat the Oklahoma State team. First game of the year.
Yeah, I think TCU's a lot better than you think they are.
Yeah, I think they're good, but I'm not saying TCU. I'm saying as a reference to Florida State. That's why even if Notre Dame beats them, Notre Dame hasn't played anybody. That's the one thing that gets me about college football is somebody sneaks in there when they haven't played anybody. I mean, they can schedule whoever they want. It's not like they have to stay in their conference. They're independent. They can schedule whatever.
Right.
I mean, the other team has to, agree to it or however the scheduling stuff works. But go play some people, please. Do it for the fans. Go play some people. We all want to watch it. So I don't even know who I'm going to pick on this because
What's the points? You said 12.
Florida State by 12. They're at home.
I'm not taking the points on this one. I think if Florida State wins, they're not going to win by 12. I'm going to go ahead and say that Notre Dame keeps it close, but the home field advantage prevails, and Florida State's going to get a win, but less than 12.
Chef?
I'm gonna go the opposite. I think if Winston plays, then Florida State's gonna keep it close, but Notre Dame still wins. If he doesn't play, it's gonna be not even close because the backup quarterback's already barely won against Clemson in overtime. Then yeah, so with Winston, I think they keep it close. But I think Notre Dame has, as we've said, they haven't really played anybody all season, but they've been kind of creeping up there with some of their close games, and they've proven they can win a close game against Stanford. And I think this week they take Florida State down.
If Winston doesn't play, I'm taking Notre Dame if he doesn't play. If he's suspended a half, I'm taking Notre Dame.
If he's suspended at all,
Yeah,
I would take Notre Dame. And I think so would everybody else in the country.
Because I heard somewhere that Vegas has even taken down the game, well, maybe like last night or Monday night, that they weren't taking any bets on it because it wasn't a sure deal yet. If something happened, so I mean, even if Vegas is even worried about it, then you got some major issues there.
I also heard that Vegas was getting in a shipment of his autographs yesterday as well.
That's to cover the loss.
That's to cover the loss, yeah.
What the funny thing is he's signing his autographs. It's got a picture of him and that girl from 2012 on there.
I was thinking, what girl from 2012? Oh, that girl. Yeah, that one. The one he had to hold down. Get it.
So, what do you got, Mike?
I'm going to take, Hope's still laughing about his joke over there. I'm going to take Florida State. Their schedule is a little tougher than the other. I'm not going to take the points on them either. All right, next game. Number 23, Stanford at number 17, Arizona State.
Can I start this one off?
Stanford's favored by 3.5. The floor's yours, sir.
All right. In case you guys didn't see on ESPN, they celebrated the 700th game of Monday Night Football, Monday night with the Rams and 49ers. So I'm gonna go back to just 8 short years ago, whenever Dennis Green took the podium after the Cardinals lost to the Bears. And you may remember this rant. They are who we thought they are. We let them off the hook. Well, guys, Arizona State is who we thought they were when the season started. I'm taking Stanford in this one, and I'll take the points. In fact, you can give me 6. You can give them 6 points, and I'm still taking Stanford.
Yeah, along with what Opie said there. I think I'm going to take Stanford too, even though Arizona State's playing at home. I mean, it was a little bit with that win over USC. That was the Hail Mary one, wasn't it? I keep getting Arizona and Arizona State mixed up.
Yeah,
but yeah, with the Hail Mary stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna take Stanford as well. Chef.
I'm actually gonna go Arizona State, and contrary to what it was last week, Washington State is completely different than Arizona State, obviously, because they're in different states. But Arizona State's they can run the ball, and they've got a guy that can throw the ball pretty good. And their only loss has been to a UCLA team and absolutely destroyed in that game. But they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They had a bye week last week and then coming into this week, so they've had a solid 2 weeks to prepare for the Stanford team. And Stanford, I mean, they've only lost 2 games by 3 points, but I think Arizona State pulls out the upset.
You think their points against changes this week?
I don't think that's an upset. They're ranked 17.
Well, I mean, I think because compared to y'all, it's an upset because y'all both picked Stanford. Yeah, I'm taking Arizona State.
All right, next game. Number 21, Texas A&M at number 7, Alabama. Alabama's favored by...
No, this game's a little bittersweet for myself. I was really pulling...
Is it because you have a man crush on Nick Saban?
Yeah. No, I was actually hoping that if Alabama lost last week, and I believe I picked against A&M as well last week, then we would have had these two teams meeting coming off of 2 straight losses, which means that one of them was going to have 3 straight losses in a row. That's what straight and row mean when you put them together.
Thanks for the English lesson.
But seriously, if Alabama scores 14 points, they will have 0% chance of winning this game. But that being said, I don't think they're going to score enough points. I'm taking A&M in this one.
You know, I think I'm going to take A&M too. Well, jeez, I don't know what I want to do on it. You guys think he's going to have them ready to play? After hearing all week that they only scored 14 points on Arkansas?
I think that him addressing the media about them only scoring 14 points is a sign in itself that his team is not as good as they have been in the past.
I really couldn't believe it. They only scored that much.
Their defense has been good, but you can only win so many games not scoring. And I mean, how many teams win games in the teens anymore in college football?
All right, I'm gonna take Texas A&M as well. The 2 losses they've had were against extremely good teams, which was Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Both those teams have extremely stout defenses, but even though Alabama's had a good defense, I do not think it's as good as Mississippi State and Ole Miss's defense. I know for a fact it's probably not as good as Ole Miss's. Get the Land Sharks going. But, Chef, you're up next, man.
I'm actually going to take Alabama on this one. I mean, if Texas A&M doesn't win this game, they're not playing for anything at the end of the season other than a bowl game, if they're lucky. Because, I mean, they have Alabama this week and then Auburn, and that's it for the ranked teams. After that, they're done. This is a must-win game for them, but I think the way Mississippi State dominated them running the ball and throwing the ball, and then Ole Miss, I mean, there's what's his freaking name? Quarterback for Ole Miss. Bo Wallace. I mean, he's no superstar by any means, but I think with him being able to get 35 points on him and getting the win, I think Alabama's going to take it because I think Nick's going to have him in line this week. I mean, Blake Sims he's done decent this year, but they need to give him the ball a little bit more, let him make some plays with it, and they're playing at home where he's been outstanding. So I think
A&M beat him there once, Manziel, a couple years ago.
Yeah, different guy, different shiftiness. I think Alabama's gonna give it to him as long as they keep it even. I mean, if the running game's working, keep running it. Go Auburn on them. I mean, if the running game is running, then run the exact same play 5 times in a row. If you're throwing it, keep throwing it because I don't think A&M's. I don't think they're gonna win. I think Alabama's gonna win with the points.
So if A&M loses this game, obviously they'll drop out of the top 25. You guys think with 3 losses?
Yeah, probably.
But
it just depends on what other stuff happens.
Let me ask you this: should Alabama drop out of the top 25 if they lose? I mean, this is 3 duds in a row they would put up, and 2 of them are losses. They just beat a bad Arkansas team last week. I mean, if they're ranked in the teens, if they're not ranked in the 20s or lower, then something's seriously messed up.
I don't think they'll drop that far. Just because, for whatever reason, the voters and the media and AP poll and stuff, kind of have this love for Alabama. Kind of like they're having for Florida State and stuff.
Yeah, I think Alabama will still be ranked. Maybe like an 18 or 19 if they do lose, but they still have a number 1 Mississippi State to play and a number 6 Auburn as of right now to play. So their strength of schedule is significantly harder compared to Texas A&M's to end the season.
Don't forget that West Carolina University. Don't forget about that one.
A prep game, but I think they still have a harder schedule. But if Alabama loses, they're done for the season too, unless they can pull out the upset against Mississippi State or Auburn.
Well, they would still have 2 losses in SEC play, so that would pretty much mean they're done. I think every week for Ole Miss and Mississippi State's probably upset alert. I mean, they're good teams, but I mean, they've kind of come out of nowhere. We didn't really know they're going to be 1 and 2, 3.
No, you didn't.
You thought they were going to be number 1 this year?
Not number 1, but I told Chef before we started doing this. That's what inspired me to do this video, because I always talk to Chef about all these college football games. I'm like, dude, watch out for Ole Miss in that game because they're good. And I said, if Bo Wallace can, have a good, nice, clean game with not a bunch of turnovers. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to pick on the guy. If Ole Miss can have not a bunch of turnovers, win the turnover battle, they're going to have a chance to win. I said their defense is extremely good. In Mississippi State, they were pretty good last year. They had like, I wish we could look up and see how many seniors they have. I bet they're starting 20 seniors on offense and defense. But I don't see them losing at home to Tennessee. Now if they do, man, that's a shocker. After some of the teams and stuff they've beaten, whatever. But like I said, I don't see it. I don't see Indiana sneaking up on Michigan State. The only one we kind of did pick is I picked West Virginia over Baylor.
And there's a couple of other ones that could be interesting. The Rutgers, Ohio State, and then Washington, Oregon. Just because both of those teams and both of those games are like a 5-1 against a 5-1 or a 4-1 against a 5-1. I mean, it's one of those. There's a lot of games that are still important to win. There is no gimmies yet. I mean, Washington Husky team that could potentially sneak up and make something happen against Oregon, who already lost once this season. And then same thing with Rutgers, who could beat up on an Ohio State team. But it's one of those that could also be a completely different game where it's over in the first half.
Yep. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, too, that, if Oregon's O-line gets healthy, that team's going to be back to what we expect from Oregon. 'Cause they had, I think it was the left tackle. He come back this year and made a pretty big impact on the game. But anyways, going to give the man a shout out. His name's Jake Fisher. Sure made a big difference on Oregon. Yeah, Oregon State's O-line. So if they get that healthy, they'll be the Oregon that everybody thinks they are. Or I guess the team that they need to be and can play as. Has anybody got anything else they want to add? I don't want to cut anybody off. It's a team effort around here.
I think we're good. Another exciting week of college football, especially number 2 and number 5 playing. Could be some guaranteed shake-up regardless, but it could be some shake-ups in the top 25. Oh, yeah, the poll last week, we had Texas A&M versus Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yep.
And I think everybody that did vote actually pick Ole Miss to win that game. Yes, Ole Miss versus Texas A&M, and it shows a solid 8-for-8. But I think at the time that the game went live, it was 5 for Ole Miss, 0 for Texas A&M. So everybody picked right.
But I appreciate all the comments. Put them in there. Tell us what you think. Where we're right, where we're wrong. Call us an idiot, whatever. But anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. And we'll see you again week 9.
Deuces.
Later, guys.